Welcome to the Steelers by the Lake podcast. My name is James Strong, joined once again by my co-host Cody Tanner. Cody, how are you on this final cut down Wednesday?
Final cut down Wednesday, James. It's interesting to see how the things have fallen. Each of us on this 53-man roster, the original one, not the one that's going to be official at the end of all this next 2 weeks, we each missed six. We missed six guys. We either had them on, and they didn't have them on, or we had them off and they had them on. But I think it's a good squad. I don't think. Yeah. I think I say this every year. as I'm about to say, I don't think I've been more excited for a Steelers roster in a long time. Pretty sure I said that last year. But no, there's a lot to be excited for when you look at the tight end room. The offensive line's been revamped and rebuffed in a matter of months. Quarterback room is what it is. Running back room's deep now. Linebackers, oh my gosh, linebackers. I'm just excited to talk about it all. We do have to talk about trades before we get into the actual 53-man roster that they announced yesterday. But I'm just excited, James. James, how are you?
Doing good, man. I'm doing good. Got a 3-day weekend coming up this weekend, so I always enjoy that. We're going to be getting our next show out to you guys on Monday, on Labor Day, so we'll figure that out for you, but just wanted to let you know when to expect it since it's been a little bit off of the normal schedule. We're trying to get it back onto the normal schedule. And during the regular season, we'll do Monday and Friday episodes. At least that'll be the goal. Sometimes we might have to do like a Saturday morning or a Thursday or something instead, but we're going to get them out to you as quickly and regularly as we can.
Absolutely.
Quickly and regularly seems to be the frequency of Omar Khan trades this offseason, Cody, and I'm here for it. This dude is making things happen, and I love how he basically got rid of a couple of guys that either were on the back end of the roster or they weren't going to keep at all and got compensation for them.
Yep. Yeah.
So last year, Kevin Dotson to start free agency. They go out and pick up Isaac Seumalo, a pretty serious upgrade. They pick up Nate Herbig, who's a very versatile backup offensive lineman who could start for probably a lot of teams.
Yep.
Made Kevin Dotson pretty expendable, and they got some great compensation for him in my book.
Yeah. They traded him to the Rams, and they were able to turn a 6th round into a 5th round pick and a 7th into a 6th. No, a fifth into a 4th.
Next year, it's next year's 5th turning into a 4th, the year after's 6th turning into a 5th.
So that's fantastic.
And I think the really underrated thing about this is think for a second on how bad the Rams are right now. They're expected to be one of the worst teams in the NFL for the foreseeable future with what they did with their salary cap, dumping players. There's only a few good players left on the roster there. Nobody's expecting them to win very many games. So it's not just going up one round. It's likely going up a round and a half, maybe more on each of those trades. So really underrated value here on going up one round in each position. I think it's going to be more like a round and a half. So that 4th round pick next year could basically be one of the top picks in the 4th round, which is tremendous. Again, that's day 3. That's the beginning of day 3. So if you can have a pick ready at the top of day 3, I like that because this team does a good job with research and finding diamonds in the rough.
They absolutely do. Another guy we were able to trade away, James, we talked about this before, Kendrick Green. Had a rough season last year, a rough preseason this year. I think he had 2 high snaps or missed snaps that the quarterback wasn't ready for. Got blown off the line of scrimmage a couple of times, but we were able to trade him to the Texans for a 6th round pick in 2025. So not this draft or this upcoming year's draft, but the following.
Yeah, and again, this is the one that was really the shocker to me. No one had him making the roster.
Nope.
No one. But the Houston Texans in their final preseason game lost their starting left guard, who's a former 1st-round pick from only a couple of years ago for the season. Lost their rookie center, Juice Scruggs from Penn State, with a hamstring injury, expected to be out 2 to 4 weeks. And they already had another guard in Quisenberry out. So the center of their interior offensive line just got devastated in the last few weeks for them. And losing 2 guys in their final preseason game is just catastrophic, especially with one of them being out for the year. So You have to think that that's why Pittsburgh gave Kendrick Green the opportunity to play some right guard in that final preseason game, try and put some good tape out there. It was very fortunate for Pittsburgh that they were playing a team that was not intending on playing starters, because he might not have looked as good as he did in that final preseason game, and you might not have gotten anything for him. And the other thing about this, Cody, is Houston was number 2. If Pittsburgh cut him, the Bears are the only team that could have got him in front of them,
True.
and they still were able to get a 6th-round pick.
True.
So Omar Khan just continues to impress me. The man is magical. He makes things happen. I don't know if he's got his own flying carpet or what's going on here, but I absolutely love what he's doing. This genie that we have called Omar Khan. I love it.
Yeah. Yeah, he's doing work. He's making things happen. And I'll tell you what, here's the fun part. All that did was that year where we no longer have a 6th-round pick, we now have a 6th-round pick again. It just covered that 6th-round pick for 2025.
Mm-hmm.
So that's fantastic. We'll have 2 5th-rounders that year and a 6th and a 7th at this point. I'm excited for the future because, again, look at what we did this year in the offseason, the first offseason with, the genie Omar Khan. I'm excited to see what we do in the future with that as well. Now we're going to talk about the 53-man roster. Again, not a lot of shocking things here, a few that we'll get to. But we're just going to go down the list. We'll kind of alternate different positions and then talk about them. I'll go first with quarterbacks. Kenny Pickett, Mason Rudolph, Mitch Trubisky. Not depth chart that order. That's just who we got.
Yep.
No surprise there. That's what we all called. There was a chance people wanted Tanner Morgan to make it, but that wasn't going to happen. You just have the 3 guys that have been there for the past 2 years. Well, 1 year if you include Kenny. But they're good guys. We'll see what happens moving forward. Running backs, James.
Yeah, we have to feel good about that just because of the progress with Kenny Pickett, and the other 2 are capable backups, so I'm good with that. Running back room, we both also nailed that. Najee Harris, Jalen Warren, Anthony McFarland Jr., no surprises there. Anthony McFarland impressed enough in the preseason to kind of wash away the doubts. Seems like he's packed on a little more muscle over the last couple of years. Is able to withstand contact, fight for extra yards a little bit better, which is very important in the Pittsburgh scheme. They don't have him listed as the starting kick returner, but he did get to return some kicks.
Well, yeah, because we have a new starting kick returner.
At least a punt returner.
That's true. At least punt, for sure.
Yeah, at least punt for sure. Fullback, they list Connor Hayward, but they also list him somewhere else. You want to talk about the other position they listed him at?
Yeah, they listed him as tight end. So we have Pat Freiermuth, Darnell Washington. The surprise cut here was Zach Gentry. Gonna you're wearing your Jesse James jersey.
Yes, because 81.
But no, that was the surprising cut. I think there's a chance that he finds his way back on the team. I don't know for certain, honestly, how or why that could happen. It's one of those tough cuts. I think it's a guy that they wanted to keep, but I don't think at the end of the day it was justifiable with Darnell Washington having a good preseason, Pat Freiermuth being top 10 tight ends in the league right now, and then Connor Hayward's ability to do basically anything and everything you ask of him. It's just not worth keeping that 3rd, 4th, technically tight end on the team.
Impossible to justify, right? Darnell Washington has way more upside, seems like a better blocker too, and Connor Hayward is just an extremely useful multi-tool.
Yep.
Capable as a running back, capable as a receiver, capable of blocking in some situations. Just don't give him too big of a guy.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think even though I didn't want to see Zach Gentry go in those goal line formations, I hate it when they use an extra offensive lineman instead of a tight end. And I think they're going to be forced to do that this year because of that move. I do hold out hope that he's brought back somehow. Maybe they end up a little heavy in another position.
Yep.
We'll see what happens on that, though. But I wore 81 because I've always said that I thought Jesse James was the best number 2 tight end on a team in Steelers history, and Zach Gentry was a solid one. But I'm worried about whether or not I'm going to be able to say that much longer because Darnell Washington looks like a beast. But I'm here for it. I absolutely love it. I'm excited about it. On to the wide receiver room. So the top 5 we both had correct: Deontay Johnson, George Pickens, Allen Robinson the second, Calvin Austin the third, Miles Boykin, and then they did decide to keep Gunnar Olszewski as well, which Cody called correctly. So give him props on that one. Good job, Cody. He's got the return man experience, which might be something that helped him out in that.
And might not
I mean,
happen now.
Yeah, he's also a former Pro Bowl return man. So it is what it is. He's a capable receiver. Miles Boykin doesn't give you much as a receiver. That might have also had something to do with it, because the top 4 are pure receivers. And if you're only keeping 5 and your 5th isn't even really much of a receiver, well, then I guess I get that. So,
yeah. Moving on to the defensive side of the ball, defensive line. O-line. You're right. Yeah. I got excited to talk to this defense.
I get it. Me too.
No, O-line, you got your starters. You got Broderick Jones, Dan Moore Jr., James Daniels, Isaac Siamalu, and Mason Cole. And then you have the Army knife. What is those knives called? Spencer Anderson. You know what I'm talking about?
Swiss Army
knife. There we go. Yeah. And then you have Nate Herbig and Chuks Okorafor. I actually missed on that starting. But then you have Dylan Cook, a guy that you kind of thought about bringing on your 53-man roster. I didn't think about it all, honestly, but he was the surprise keep there. So good for him.
Yeah, awesome to see Spencer Anderson make the team. I was really hopeful.
100%.
He showed his versatility, played all 5 positions, either in preseason games or in practice. You know how much they love that versatility. Seems like he's pretty capable on the inside as a guard, too.
Yep.
So I love that. Dylan Cook, for those of you not real familiar with him, because I don't think we talked about him once up until this point. Dylan Cook started off as a 3rd-team right tackle, started getting some reps at left tackle as well, and then actually worked his way above LaRaven Clark to the 2nd team. So to get him more reps there, they started using Spencer Anderson more at both guard positions with that 2nd team offensive line. And he actually started the final preseason game at left guard. So he actually got some reps in the guard position as well. So it's a guy with decent length, decent size, tackle and guard capability. So it's another multi-tool offensive lineman who can play in different positions. I don't know if he's got the experience that Spencer Anderson does at guard. Spencer's got a lot of snaps under his belt in college at guard. This might be more of a tackle guy who can also do guard, but might need a little work on footwork and whatnot.
Yeah.
I really like it. I think this is the best offensive line group Pittsburgh's had in about 5 years, going back to David DeCastro, Marquise Pouncey, Alejandro Villanueva. It goes back to that group for me to be able to say we've had a line that's even close to it. And none of these guys are Pro Bowlers yet either. So this is just the best group since we had that group, in my opinion. And I think it's a deeper group than what we're used to as well. Your top 2 backup players being Nate Herbig and Broderick Jones. Broderick Jones is probably going to start before the season's over. Yep. He's the rookie 1st-round pick. And then when that happens, Dan Moore might end up on the right side. You never know, because he got a chance on the right side this preseason too and looked pretty good doing it. So I'm pretty happy about this offensive line group, who they were able to keep, and the versatility of the pieces there.
Yeah, it's going to be a great time to see us not have gaping holes in the offensive line where, Kendrick Green just unable to keep a block last year.
Yeah. Or the miscommunication stuff where
drastic.
Dan Moore and Kevin Dotson, a lot of times last year, there'd be miscommunication. Somebody come running straight free. So yeah, that stuff I think is really going to be cut down with the experienced veteran guards that are so quality now on this team.
Yeah, absolutely. James, let's look at this defensive line now. Defensive side of the ball now, officially.
Yes. Now we're going to go big boys on the defensive side. Starting off with Cameron Hayward. I know you were stunned that he made the roster.
I just didn't think we needed him. I don't know.
Yeah. Better options, right? So Larry Ogunjobi also. Montravius Adams penciled in as the starting nose tackle right now. Of course, the rookie 2nd-round pick, Keanu Benton, makes the team. The Marvin Leal, the former 3rd-round pick. Isaiah Loudermilk, the former 4th-round pick. And then Armon Watts is our final and 7th defensive lineman. That was the one I got, that Cody went the Fehoko route.
Yep.
We have found out since we started recording that Fehoko is going to be on the practice squad, which I'm really excited about, because I said that I would rather keep Fehoko than Montravius Adams, because I think he's more stout against the run, and I think that's really important in the AFC North.
Yep.
So we'll see how the season plays out. If they struggle against the run, if Keanu Benton isn't ready to be as stout as they need, then you might see Fehoko come up from the practice squad, get called up maybe on some of those occasions.
Yep.
But good unit, and I love how many young recent draft picks there are waiting in the wings, ready to take over and be the next generation. And I really am excited about Keanu Benton because I really feel like he can make that transition from starting out as nose tackle to being the defensive end / D tackle and the nickel defense type that can give you some real push on the pocket and get some sacks too. So real excited about this group right now.
Yeah. Super excited. Looking at these linebacker group, this is outside and inside. We'll go over just all of them and talk about them. So you have Quan Alexander.
Let's split them.
Let's
do the outside let's split them up. It's just a lot of guys.
Okay. I'll do outside linebackers. You have Alex Highsmith, TJ Watt, which was no surprise there. And then you also have Nick Herbig and Marcus Golden, which are the guys that we expected. We called it 4 for 4 on those guys. Yep. Excited for what those guys are going to bring to the table for sure.
Yeah. Best quad group of outside linebackers this team's ever had. I'm very confident in saying that. When we had a couple years ago, what was it? Gordon or Ingram? Melvin Ingram, backup outside linebacker. He had a similar resume to what you have with Marcus Golden. But when we had him, who was the other guy opposite? Nothing significant. It was one of those back of the roster guys that plays special teams, and then you don't get anything out of him. Herb is exciting. He looked fantastic in the preseason. Cody has staked his claim and said he's going to lead the team in sacks this upcoming year.
He's going to have double-digit sacks. He's going to have double-digit sacks.
Yeah. So excited. I think Cody's right. He's going to have a really year. I'm not going as far as double-digit sacks on it, but I won't be surprised if he gets 5 or 6.
Double-digit.
What's also exciting is how this middle linebacker group shaped up.
Mm-hmm.
I think that once the preseason ended, we had a drastically different feeling than what we did at the beginning of the preseason, and it was the same guys on the field. So that's awesome that they played so much better. Cole Holcomb and Elandon Roberts slated as your starters right now, but we do believe Elandon Roberts kind of going to sub out every now and then with Quan Alexander. Mark Robinson also making the team. We both had Tanner Muse making the squad, and he did not, and he's already been claimed by somebody. So he's not coming back on the practice squad either. We thought that special teams value, that athleticism from him was going to get him on the squad. We thought that they would keep a 5th inside linebacker, especially since neither one of us thought a 5th outside linebacker would happen. And a lot of times they keep at least 9 linebackers combined. Only 8 linebackers. This is probably the smallest group I've seen in a long time. Last year it was like 6 middle linebackers. So
yeah, right.
Drastically different group. But exciting based off of the play that we saw in the preseason. I'm looking forward to it. And it's been a while since I looked forward to the middle linebacker group. I had high hopes last year, hoping that Devin Bush would play good again. And Miles Jack had a reputation that was good. But it just, the product on the field didn't turn out as good as we were hoping for.
Yeah.
I think it'll be better this year.
And I know we didn't say it at the beginning, but at the end of this episode, we are also going to talk about the 9 added practice squad players that were added today officially. Ooh. That was just released on Steelers on the Steelers app. So we'll talk about those guys after this. Yes, sir. Defensive backs. We'll talk about these guys. We'll break them up. Safeties and corners. I'll go over the safeties. Minkah Fitzpatrick, DeMonte KZ, Miles Killebrew for his special teams ability, and then Keanu Neal. So those are the 4 guys we're keeping. Minka's an obvious pick. DeMonte KZ and Keanu Neal, I believe, are going to have some kind of dynamic play. Mm-hmm. KZ coming in on probably nickel downs. Neal, we'll see what playing time he gets.
Base 3-4. Yeah, but he'll be your strong safety in the base 3-4, no doubt.
But again, Miles Killebrew, the guy that we weren't sure, what is he going to make it? Is he not going to make it? He blocked 2 punts a few years ago. What you did 2 years ago doesn't really matter now. Well, then in the last preseason game, or one of the 2, I believe he gets that almost blocked punt.
got a partial block.
Yeah, so they're keeping him on for that. If he can get even 1 this year, I think he's worth it. In all honesty, so we'll see what happens there. Great safety lineup there as well. James, you want to go over these corners?
Yes. In the corners, there's going to be a little crossover because we're expecting some of these guys to play a little safety this year.
Yep.
But a nice solid unit there. We've got Patrick Peterson and Levi Wallace slated to be your starters right now. Joey Porter Jr. Right behind them. And in the nickel, that might be your 3. There's some rumor that we're going to see some Patrick Peterson slide inside the slot nickel this upcoming season. James Pierre, your other outside corner that made the roster. Shandon Sullivan and Elijah Riley kept on the team as nickel corners. Shandon Sullivan, a little more of a cover guy. Elijah Riley, a little more of a blitzer and run stopper. And honestly, Elijah Riley's really good on special teams. His resume also has a decent amount of safety play on it. So that might be your extra backup safety rather than sticking Miles Killebrew on the field. Maybe you see a little bit of Elijah Riley. So Trey Norwood's time with the Steelers seems to be up unless he was brought onto the practice squad. I kind of hope he was, honestly. But we'll see if any of the other safeties are kept around. They always keep one or two, it seems like. When you got 16 guys you can put on your practice squad, you probably ought to stack one or two safeties on that group. But that's our safety group this year. And then it's just our specialists.
And if you're good at math, we're only at 49 players.
That's an issue. That's an issue. So they kept Chris Boswell, of course, Christian Kuntz, of course, Presley Harvin III, of course, and of course a second punter in Braden Mann.
Why not?
Because everyone had that prediction. Also, everyone was thinking after that was the original 53 that he was going to get traded. That the idea was they had somebody probably right on the hook and they kept them as leverage, and who knows? Well, they made a move after the initial 53 and have released Braden Mann, and it appears that Desmond King is now going to be a Pittsburgh Steeler. Desmond King, a former All-Pro cornerback, specializing as the nickel position. So this may impact Shandon Sullivan and Elijah Riley. From what I was reading about him today, he has an extremely impressive resume in blitzing the quarterback and stopping the run out of the nickel. And his passing defense grades are very good also.
Which is what we had with Mike Hilton back in the day. So maybe they're trying to bring that kind of style back.
It's a bigger dude than that, too.
Oh, much bigger. He's not much bigger than Mike Hilton. Yeah, absolutely. So I'm excited to see what happens there. I'm hoping that it doesn't affect that defensive back room. Honestly, I'm sure it will, but I'm hoping it doesn't.
Yeah, I think it will.
It 100% will. But I like the guys we have. I don't want to see Elijah Riley go because of his ability to play safety, and I don't want to see Shandon Sullivan go because of his amazing interception he had in that last preseason game. Or one of the last two, I should say. But then Steelers did add 9 players to the practice squad today. 8 who were just released by the Steelers, and 1, James, who came from a separate team. The Dallas Cowboys former cornerback Anthony Brown is now on the practice squad. And then you also have cornerback Luke Barku, running back Greg Bell, which I'm actually excited about seeing that one. You have Braden Fehoko, Des Fitzpatrick, Jonathan Marshall, David Perales, safety Trenton Thompson, who had a good preseason, and tight end Rodney Williams, all signed to the practice squad.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's our first 9 on it. I like the group. I don't know much about Anthony Brown. Looks like he was a 6th round pick in the 2016 NFL draft. So that's a veteran guy that they're going to have on the roster there as far as the practice squad. A couple of names that stick out to me, obviously Braden Fehoko. We talked about him, run stopping specialist. Happy that they can keep him. Des Fitzpatrick, I thought, was incredible as a gunner and kick and punt coverage specialist who is also a wide receiver. And then Rodney Williams, the tight end, I thought he had a really nice preseason. So I'm excited to see him be kept around because, with a year on the practice squad, a year in the weight room, you never know. Maybe he becomes somebody that you want as that number 3 tight end next upcoming season. But I like it. It's a good start to the group. And then there's some rumors going around. That's just the official signed group. There's also an offensive tackle and an offensive guard already being rumored. And those are both from other teams. Recent draft pick guys, too, like 2022 draft guys.
Nice. Well, we'll be excited to see what happens there. Let us know what you guys think about this 53-man roster. Do you like it? Do you not like it? Is there someone they cut that they should have kept? Is there someone they kept that you said, hey, you shouldn't be on the team. You shouldn't be in the NFL, my guy. Let us know. We'll talk about it. You never know. People have opinions, my guy. Again, thank you guys so much for listening or watching. If you're on YouTube, be sure to like and follow on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. Subscribe and ring the bell. It is free. And until next time, this is your host, James and Cody, signing off.
Peace.